G'day trendsetters, and Happy New Year to you all. And welcome back to Fishplay Films, and this is our second Weathering Freight Cars for Newbies. This is actually a little extra that I'm going to chuck in. We should be going to using powders, my Pan Pastel powders for part 2, but I'll be mucking around a bit more with washers, and I'd just like to revisit washers very quickly before we hop on into the next bit. Now with these new hopper cars, this is a Walters Train Line, their Gold Series, very nice. They have to change the wheel sets out though, because someone in Walters can't read and thinks that plastic axles are actually metal, and these things will not roll standard at all with the plastic axles. So they've got intermountain wheel sets in them, and much better. They're very heavy, but you need to change the wheel sets out. Beautiful detail. Anyway, there's rib sides, welded sides down here, and you virtually can't see them. These cars come out with a matte finish. They're absolutely beautiful. A lot of the new freight cars do. They don't need much weathering at all, and especially if you see a lot of the new cars on the trains aren't that filthy these days. They must do something to them, I don't know. And what I've been trying to do with the powders is to try and get these seams to show without dirtying the sides up too much, and you can do it with powders. I'm getting better, but I'd like to revisit washers because they're quick, and you can get a lot done really quickly before you get into the more detailed side of weathering. And I was having a problem with the washers before. They weren't running properly. I mentioned that in my airbrush segment. And so I've revisited them, and I've changed my solution, my thinner solution for my paint, and they're running a lot better, and I've changed my brush that I'm using. So let's get into that. Now before, if you watched Airbrush Weathering for Newbies Part 1, I was using a alcohol, water-based and Windex for my acrylic paints, which works really well with the airbrush. With a paint extender in it, you must use a paint extender if you're airbrushing acrylics to keep the paint from drying on the tip of the airbrush. Really important. Anyway, I've changed that because it wasn't running very well when I was using my washers. So I've taken out the extender, I've taken out the alcohol, and I've got 80% Windex and 20% distilled water or demineralized water. And I've got a mixture here of about 30 drops of the thinner solution and about 2 drops of Tamiya acrylic black, and with a little bit of brown in it as well. I've actually just used one of my dirty wash mixtures with a little bit of black in it. And the main thing, trendsetters, is a good brush. Now I know a lot of people go on about, oh, just buy cheap brushes when you're weathering. I've found, and some of you may disagree, it all depends on what you're doing, but for me, the better quality brush, I seem to get a better result. Now, you don't need to go out and spend millions of dollars. This was a brush from an artist shop, and it was about $4, I think. And to me, that's not a lot of money, and the bristles are really nice. It's made all the difference in putting a wash on these cars, because as I tried, lean across here, with my older Fern cars, which I was using a different brush and a different solution, the wash just wasn't working at all. But on these, I'll show you what a couple have done in a minute, and it's a huge difference. Now, of course, we're still going to go back and airbrush them. Yes, we are, trendsetters. But this just gives that quick wash, and a lot of these cars, especially these dry distilled grain cars, don't get very dirty at all. And you just see a tiny little black sort of smudges down the side. Now, you can do that with powders, but I found the wash just does it so much quicker, and you can highlight it with a powder. So shut up, Greg, and let's go. Right, first thing is the top. Now look, trendsetters, it's just that easy. And the good thing about these nice brushes, if a little bit pools where you don't want it, the brush just soaks it up. Also go along the walkways. These are beautiful walkways on these. You know, all these new cars are etched metal. We're very spoilt these days, trendsetters, we really are. We're not spoilt with locomotives though. Their drive systems are crap. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Get rid of worm drives, or change the worm to a helical worm so we can multi-unit easier. These bloody silly old worm drives that you can't push is ridiculous. It's back in the 50s crap. We don't need that. We need to move on, trendsetters. Right, here we go. Another thing too I found is with these new cars, don't dip your brush into the bottom of the solution, because if some of the pigments have fallen to the bottom, you'll pick it up and they'll show on the car. I know I panicked when I did this the first time. Now you see those lines come up straight away there? That is magic, trendsetters. Now, if you're worried about, before when I had the alcohol and that solution in, I was getting a lot of lines through here like that, but a lot worse. The planes are crazy today, trendsetters. Now, what I've done with a couple, if you go this way, and it's the same with powders, if you go across the line, you will make the lines more accentuated. If you go back this way, see that? You rub the lines out. So we've got a few little things happening there. I might leave that one like that, actually. Now, if you're not happy when you go across here like that, and you want to get rid of it a bit, just do the whole car up this way, work from the bottom up. If you work this way, you'll drag all the stuff down, you'll end up with a big pile down here. Always work up this way. Let's go along the bottom there. Now this one, this just makes the whole difference. These new cars are just beautiful. Actually, I'm getting some really nice results here, trendsetters. I might leave that. It's not a good day to be actually painting today. It's about 35 degrees and the humidity is ridiculous. I'll show you some real Australian sweat in a minute. The girls will love it. We bottle it down here. You can buy it. Aussie man sweat with a bit of kangaroo in it. Put a little bit of kangaroo in, you know, a little bit of wallaby, just to give it that bushy scent. We don't really bottle sweat down here. Now, actually, I'm going to leave that. We'll just do the other side. Now, trendsetters, the thing with doing washes, it's a bit like using powders. You know, they're quite forgiving. You can see this little bit here. I'm going to leave that. That's just from going up like that. Now, if I wanted to get rid of that, I could just go across and get rid of it. Right, so that one's got a bit of a mark there, so we'll take that off like that. You can see the lines being accentuated there. But I'm going to leave that. This is what these cars look like, a lot of them in real life. So I think that looks really good. And probably don't even need any powders on that. Maybe a little bit of airbrushing to do the trucks, and that's gold, trendsetters. Now, same again this side. Just work your way across. You can see those weld seams just pop out there. Now, you can do this with a powder, which I've been trying inside. And you can do this with a powder. Put a light powder on a brush and run it across, and that looks really good too. But I think if you get a wash right, it's really easy. And I think the best thing was taking the alcohol out of this for this particular application. Definitely for the airbrush it's better, but I think for this, and we'll just go across the top here, you can just go crazy with washes, like in my locomotive washing do-wacky-do. Now, it's really important to do down here as well, because you can go back, you know, remember we're going to go back and airbrush this. I won't do that on camera, we've done that before. But I tell you what, this wash is working beautifully now. So I think it's the Windex is doing the trick and removing the alcohol for this particular wash. Now with this one here, I've gone across this way, and I haven't got any horizontal seams. I'm not going to bother going up and down this way. Remember, if you go up, you will take some of those seams away, but most of those are looking pretty good. Now, if I want to accentuate those seams, I can do it with a powder when I get inside. Now, I'll say it again, the beauty of having a good quality brush. This is so soft, I can just go over all these handrails here. And I'm not going to break anything. And all these details just pop here. You know how we did it on the locomotive, how they all pop out. Now, I've got my little Tamiya panel line, you know, the one that I talked about last time. I can go in there with that and do all my lines, on my brake lines and that in there when I'm inside, you know, doing the sort of more detailed weathering. But honestly, you can just zip up the ladders here, and no dramas about damaging anything. Do yourself a favour, buy some nice brushes. Don't go crazy. I know we're all working to a budget, but the better the tool, the better the job you'll do. Now honestly, trendsetters, this is how easy it is. Whoops. You know what I just did then? I did what I told you not to do. I put the brush in the bottom of the container and picked up a lot of the crappy pigments. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's okay. There we go. We'll just go through. I'll just dip the brush just right in the top rather than do the bottom. So now I've just got to rinse that out. She'll come good. Now, of course, you might want some that are really filthy on one side. So we might leave that. I tell you what, the paint job on these new cars, these Walthers ones, I've done some Atlas ones as well here today, is fantastic. It really is good. Alright, well we'll do a few more and we'll show the end results and that'll be it. Now to prove it works on other cars just as well as hoppers, as we all know, here's a Red Caboose Tropicana reefer, and these have some very nice details in these Red Caboose cars. But of course you can't see them. So we're going to do the same thing. And this is all white, this one. Especially the rivets. Now what you can do, you can go up in the panels like that, so it sort of makes the sides a little bit cleaner, but accentuates the rivets. Once again, whatever you think. Of course, if you want them to look like there's more dirt down the bottom, you could bring the brush down and have more accumulation of stuff at the bottom. That might work better for older freight cars, you know. But for hoppers, newer hoppers, they tend to be rather clean and a little bit dirtier up the top. But hey, whatever you like. Oops. So there we go, that'll dry on. That looks a bit nasty now, because these are quite old. These, not many Tropicana cars like this left, I don't think. They're all the newer style now. But anyway, that'll clean up, that'll dry nicely there. And just to prove that it works well on other cars as well. And of course, if you had a dark freight car, you would use a lighter colour, like a grey or an off-white or something like that.
And now it's time to compare our newly washed cars to the original. As you can see, even the small amount of washing has made a huge difference to the appearance of the cars. And now all that's needed is some light weathering to the trucks with an airbrush, maybe a few more details with some powders, and these cars are ready to go. This Tropicana car needs a lot more work with some powders to get it looking like the old thing that it is. But this is a great start, and it certainly looks better than straight out of the box.
Well, trendsetters, there you go. I'm happy that I've cured my wash woes, and you can see the results of these are really good just for a pre-sort of treatment. And just with some of these cars, just a bit of weathering, airbrushing on the trucks and a bit of powders, a little bit here and there, and you're right to go. They work out really well. Now you can do the same thing with powders, but I think a combination of all three is the go. But really happy with the washes again. So just a quickie there. Hope you're all having a good new year, and we will see you for another update on the Birdwood sub very soon. Toodaloo, hooroo for now.